Hi everyone, it's Mama Bird. The bird family recently visited the Titanic Museum in Pigeon Forge, and I wanted to share our experience, especially because this stop was inspired by little brother Bird. He first discovered the Titanic through a kid's YouTube video and quickly became obsessed. And since we cruise a lot as a family, that interest only grew stronger. When a kid gets genuinely interested in something, you really want to strike while the iron is hot. Wait too long, and they've already moved on to the next thing. So, did we plan this mountain trip just for the Titanic Museum? I won't say that's the only reason, but it definitely didn't hurt. Right away, we were impressed by how well done and kid friendly the museum is. There are fascinating historical facts, real artifacts, and even memorabilia connected to James Cameron's Titanic film, all balanced in a way that keeps kids engaged without overwhelming them. It felt educational, immersive, and approachable, which isn't always easy to pull off with a topic this heavy. One of the most eye opening parts for the kids was learning about life on the Titanic, especially the stark difference between third class and first class passengers. They have replicas of a third class stateroom and a first class sitting room, and seeing them both really made the contrast sink in. The first class space was enormous, easily the size of 4 or 5 third class rooms combined. To make it even more immersive, there was a live pianist playing music in the first class exhibit. That detail really brought the space to life. This part especially stood out to the kids, who are used to the Disney cruises where everyone is treated equally. It sparked a lot of great conversations about history, fairness, and perspective. For those of us who remember seeing the 1997 Titanic movie in theaters, this section hits hard. I'll admit it, my friends and I saw that movie 4 times in theaters, so walking into the movie exhibit felt incredibly nostalgic. You can see one of the dresses Rose wore, a signed violin, and yes, the door. And just to clear something up, it's not actually a door, it's a beautifully carved wooden panel from the first class lounge. Seeing it in person made me realize why maybe Jack couldn't have climbed up with Rose. There is a heavy beam on one side that changes how you think about the scene. One display that really caught my attention was about the construction of the Titanic. I had no idea that building the ship involved 8 fatalities, 28 severe accidents, and 218 minor accidents. It made me wonder, was this part of why people later thought of the Titanic as a cursed ship? Or was this just typical for shipbuilding at the time? Either way, it added a somber layer that really grounded the experience. There was also a display featuring items recovered from the body of Frederick Sutton, which is scheduled to be auctioned in April 2026 and valued at around $400,000. It was fascinating, but also a little unsettling. Definitely not something I could imagine owning, but it added another layer of realism to the history. Now, the museum really shines when it comes to hands on experiences for kids. Throughout the exhibits, there are trivia stations where kids can guess answers through multiple choice options. The little birds loved racing from one station to the next, trying to see who could get the answer right first. It turned into a fun little competition without us even realizing it. There's also a coal shoveling station where kids can lift a shovel and imagine what it was like to feed the boilers. One sign asked if you could picture yourself doing that for 10 hours a day in 100-degree heat. And our answer was a very confident no. They also have a replica of the ship's control room, and each of the kids took a turn spinning the wheel and pretending they were steering the Titanic. Further into the museum, there's a game where kids try to turn the wheel in time to avoid hitting the iceberg. And despite their best efforts, they failed every single time. Another favorite was the series of sloped decks, which eventually tilts up to 45 degrees. The kids loved climbing them, and especially the last section where they could slide right back down. There are also stations where they can try tapping out Morse code and learn how to tie nautical knots. One area that really stood out was a room designed to make you feel like you were standing near an iceberg. You can reach down and touch water that's just 28 degrees, which made the experience feel very real and very cold. With all of these interactive moments woven throughout the museum, the kids stayed engaged from start to finish and never felt like we were dragging them through a history lesson. Instead, they were actively learning, exploring, and having fun the entire time. When you enter the museum, each visitor receives a boarding pass with the name of a real Titanic passenger. At the end of the museum, you find out whether your passenger survived. By some miracle, every passenger that the bird family was assigned made it, and the kids were absolutely thrilled. A few tips if you're planning a visit: you can buy tickets online, but if you haven't, you'll need to stop by the ice cream shop outside the museum to purchase them. Arrive early. The line builds quickly, especially since they take photos before you enter. If you want unobstructed photos on the grand staircase, go early. When we first went up, we had it all to ourselves. By the time we came back down, it was packed. And also remember, there is no video allowed inside, but you can take plenty of photos. Overall, we had a great time at the Titanic Museum. For us, it's probably a one and done experience, but I'm really glad we went while little brother was still deep in his Titanic phase. I personally found it fascinating, especially growing up reading books, watching documentaries, and loving the movie. Papa Bird didn't connect with it quite as much, which is fair. This museum definitely hits harder if you already have an interest in the story. If you're visiting Pigeon Forge and have a Titanic fan in your family, it's absolutely worth a stop. Just go early, bring your curiosity, and be ready to climb a slanted deck or two. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. I'll be sure to keep you posted on our upcoming trips because, after all, we're birds of a feather that travel together.